Welcome back to Mac Music Review. Today we're looking at the Propaganda album, Crooked. Crooked is the latest full-length album from the humble beast rapper Propaganda. He also released something recently, the Terraform, We Are the People. It was kind of, I don't know if it's exactly an album. It's like 7 tracks. It's pretty short. It didn't really feel like an album to me. But this album came out to massive acclaim from Christian music critics. On the site JFH, Jesus Freak Hideout, which is like the #1, in my opinion, the #1 best and most reputable. Like, they're cited on Wikipedia all the time, which doesn't really mean anything, but they're cited on Wikipedia all the time when they release album reviews for Christian albums. So, like, the leading source of Christian album reviews. And this is the most positively reviewed album on the entire site. The most 5-star ratings, because what the site allows is for multiple critics to review an album, or the staff on the site. And this received the most amount of 5-star ratings on the site in the site's entire history. After listening to this album for literally years, I can see why. I can see why people love it so much. The most striking thing about Crooked is the lyrical content, is the subject matter, and the album title says it all. It's Crooked, and this is really the song Precious Puritans by, from the album Excellent, which is like a super savage attack on Puritans and savage attack on things within Christian culture. And that's what this is basically. But a little bit more wide. It's basically critiquing the world, critiquing every political and social issue you can think of, from racism to gentrification to relationship stuff, to personal problems, hip-hop. Like, it's a pretty massive album in its scope. The intro track, Crooked Ways, is one of the most perfect and effective intro tracks ever made. Now, I'm going to say this a lot, but the production on this song is fantastic. It sounds amazing. And the lyrical content, basically just, it's almost like a Propaganda just rambling about all these different things, but like the most concise rambling you've ever heard. And it just hits so hard. And the song has just worked so effectively to point out all these different issues and just set up the idea and the theme of the album of this crooked world we live in very well. It's Complicated is a really unique and special moment on the album because especially the production gives you this feel like you're like looking into space when he talks about, this is complicated, but so is a star. He's talking about all these, the pyramids, and he's talking about like the wonders of creation, really, like all these things that we can't explain, that science can't explain, and that's just amazing to just think about. And this production is really like spaced out and like weird, and you feel like this track takes you somewhere. And it's one of the shorter songs on the album, but it works really well. Despite the really heady themes of the album, especially on a song like It's Complicated, the album has a lot of lighter, more upbeat moments, and moments that are not as lyrically dense and, heavy on the listener and complex and whatever. And some of these moments are Bear With Me, Do No Wrong, and Olympian. All of these songs have really upbeat music, and the lyrical content really isn't too dark or serious. Bear With Me is kind of about love, and it's, it has some good things to say about the topic. Olympian is a song about pushing through and you can do it, man. And it's probably my least favorite song on the album due to the hook, which I don't think is great. Like, the hook is just kind of meh, and the verses are not the strongest on the album either. And then, and there's another song that has really upbeat music, really funny upbeat music, but the lyrical content is about gentrification, which is a subject that a lot of people don't know anything about, but the song is so upbeat and fun. It's something you're going to keep coming back to. You're going to keep coming back to a song about gentrification, where the hook is like, you see them billboards yelling cash for homes, gentrify, and it just says like, dude, how did Propaganda make this song so fun? Cynical is a dark moment on the album about immigration and about how people like cling on to issues and political issues, and it leads us to not loving our neighbors, basically. And it's about being cynical, and it actually is a double-edged sword because it starts off talking about, hey, you people care more about political issues than actually loving your neighbor, and then it switches to people who maybe get, well, no, the overarching, it's a complicated song. The narrative switches a little bit in the second half, but the overall theme of the song is people, loving people is what matters, and we get too caught up on issues, either this side of the issue or this side of the issue. You may be caught up on the issue that is correct, you might be obsessed with it, but being obsessed with the right side of the issue could be an issue because it could lead you to not be looking at your neighbors and loving your neighbors. So it's a lot, man. Slow Cook is a song about hip-hop. It's about old school hip-hop. It's one of the more fun, lighthearted moments on the album, and has the best beat switch on the entire album. The beat switch on this song is sick. It's really cool. There's another moment on the album which might be the best non-song, like interlude, skit type thing ever made. Like legitimately, like same quality level as like the late registration skits. I really like the late, and you know, the college dropout, like those are hilarious. This isn't as funny, but dude, I'm not gonna spoil it. It's called I Hate Cats. It is an outstanding moment on the album, and it's not a song, it's a spoken word thing, and it's outstanding. It's so good. The following two songs are Darky and It's Not Working, in parentheses, The Truth. Both of these songs deal with racism. The first song, Darky, on a very personal level, Propaganda talks about the racism he experienced when he was young and in school. And it's devastating, dude. The production, the hook, the extremely racist hook, that's like from the perspective of a white person, but I think it's sung by a black person. It's really interesting. And it hits hard, man. It's a hard-hitting, dark song. And then It's Not Working, which is one of the best songs ever made. Full stop. It's fantastic. It's about racism on a large platform, and specifically desegregation when black people were let into the military, the segregation they experienced and the racism they experienced before that, fire hydrants and dogs. And then you get to the third verse, which flips everything on its head. And it's one of the most powerful moments I've ever heard in a song. Highly recommend you check it out. But please listen to it in the context of the album. It's an amazing song, but you really need to hear it in the context of the album for it to hit as hard as it can with all these other things preceding it. Anyway, amazing song. The other two tracks I haven't talked about yet are Andrew Mandela and I See Ptsd, which are both really good songs. Andrew Mandela with some of the best production, one of the best hooks, these really cool backing vocals, that just, these hand claps, backing vocals. It's one of those things that, you know, make like an anthemic, like pop or rock song, but like with a rap song. And the lyrical content isn't as sharp on this one, it's more broad, but it's still an epic song. The production is some of the best on the entire album. And then I See Ptsd is a song where Propaganda tackles the problems with inner city and tries to, what he does a lot on this album is compare these issues that he has, or that some people have, to the issues that everybody else has, and that's what he does on this song. He does it really well, comparing to joining a gang to joining a fraternity, with this really vivid imagery and really strong production. That's the last song on the album, and it's not as good as the song before it, Made Straight, which is a really hopeful, one of the most, probably the most Christian song on the album, where they actually talk about God and talk about his faith as a solution to all these problems. But you know, all three of these songs are great. Yeah, as far as issues are concerned, I don't love the track Olympian, and you know, Do No Wrong is not the best song ever made. I would say that the production throughout the album is really strong, but the lyrical content on some of the songs is a little bit weaker than the lyrical content on a lot of the other ones. Like, most of these songs have really strong lyrical content. Some of them are more broad or general, and that was the biggest criticism I had with Crimson Cord. But this album is a lot more, it hits way, way harder lyrically than Crimson Cord, and most of these songs, I would say, have really, really strong lyrical content. This is a truly amazing album in my eyes. I think this, in a lot of other people's eyes, this is like masterpiece level album. And I don't think it's a perfect album. Like I said, it has small criticisms with it, with not, the lyrical content on every song is not amazing, But that criticism is mostly a thing because the lyrical content on some of the other songs is so freaking strong and so freaking great. But still, really amazing production, great propaganda, as always, is really great on his albums. He does a great job here. The guest features also, I haven't really talked about that, but all of the guest features, most of them are kind of insignificant. You wouldn't even know who they were if I told you. But everybody does a good job, and it's an amazing album. I'm going to give it 4.5 stars out of 5. I kind of wanted to give this 5 stars, but, you know, I'm not going to. I want to, man. This is the best propaganda album. I'll say it. This is better than Excellent. Excellent is excellent, but this is longer. This is the longest propaganda album, and you just get all of the bang for your buck. Like, you get everything that you want in this album. It's so much. There's a lot of content here. It's got his longest songs on it, and it all works, man. It's not a bad track on here. Even Olympian, it's not a bad track. It's my least favorite by a good bit, but it's not a terrible song. And it's an amazing album. Go check it out, and have a great rest of your day.